Alright, welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, Classic Legend Non-Classic. This is episode number 3342, Doubleshot number 3336. I have a trade here that was published from Skybound, the other from Top Cow. First up we have is The Walking Dead, Volume 28, A Certain Doom. Yeah, we're getting close to the end of the series. This book collects issues 163 to 168 of the series. Excuse me. So with this particular book here, we have roughly 25 issues left to review. Yep, 25, so not much longer now. So here's what happens. Of course, Rob Kirkman and Charlie are writing artwork respectively. So, starts out basically like Rick is basically seeing the fact, yeah, there's a whole lot of walkers coming, and the whole thing is basically humongous, like, it's like preparing for conflict with a huge army of walkers. Those are basically the zombies of the series, and they're basically having to break through all these little pikes, and, well, I think it's implied the Whisperers are basically blending with them because they're basically wearing their skin. So, then Mahone basically takes out a katana, slice up some zombies. And then Negan, of course, basically just takes out a knife, not Lucille, takes out a knife, and just slices out the fingers. Yep. And it's like the zombies are pushing the other zombies in front of them basically to break down the fence. Like, oh crap, the fence is broken down. And then, of course, they have to basically fend off. And now, here's the thing. Those of you probably think, they're like, why are they using guns? Well, this is basically the post-apocalyptic world, and guns are, well, they have to basically hand-make every single bullet, and that takes time. And they also have very limited supply of bullets, so that's why they use swords, bows, and arrows. Basically, old-fashioned method, but it works. So, then we have basically, I think it's Negan just takes out a freaking butcher's knife to slice one of them. Yes, a butcher's knife. Saves Rick. And of course, basically, I think everything is done, but nope, we're not done yet. And it's like, what to do? Then he just goes in this place to hide, and of course, him and Rick just chat for a bit. Yep, and then of course, Audrey, I think her name is, one who's basically Rick's kind of live-in wife, well, life partner, and they'll basically pair what happens next. There's lots of chatting here, per se. And then, of course, a bunch of zombies, and of course, deal with them. And of course, Eugene's talking to somebody who... And then we see, like, the coastline, where apparently a lot of the zombies are falling into the ocean. Yes, they're falling in the ocean. Because that's probably how they're going to get rid of them. A lot of these zombies, now, basically the force in there. And then all of a sudden, now they bring out freaking machine guns, because of course they do. It's like Dwight's tried, and then of course, Dwight basically gets... It's like, I've always hated you. Pretty much proceeds to kind of almost kill him. He's basically stringing him one-handed. More battle with the walkers. And of course... they fight on through. And then, of course... Then discover, oh crap, Audrey was bitten in the neck. Yep. You know what that means. She's leaving the series. Yep, she is leaving the series. We'll get to that. So, then of course, Rick pulls out his gun, fires at them, and of course, after dealing with what remains of them, and of course, yes. Happy to help, and of course, like, who, thanks for happy to help, neighbor. Yep, and the Saviors have pretty much turned on them. It's like, yep, the Saviors. And Negan becomes the guy in charge again, because apparently that... Well, that's what they wanted. They turned on Dwight after all this time, having him lead the Saviors. Now Negan's back in charge, because of course he is. Of course, Maggie is, I think it's the guy who's with the Saviors, is mad at Rick. They get into a fight, and then she's killed. Oh, she's Sherry. Then she's killed. She dies by pure accident. And Andrea, I think that's her name. So then she reveals, oh yeah, she was bitten. And then, of course, like, somebody help her. And, of course, basically, well, then pretty much she perishes in the end, of course. Well, and then we have Carl come in. I'm sure, and the thing is, she at this point is used to him having only one eye the way it is here, because the eye is like gone. Yes, that was from early on in the series when he got shot in the head. He managed to survive barely, and so he also suffered a bit of partial memory loss because of this particular injury. Yes, he completely forgot the fact he had this half sister who got killed by the dick known as the Governor in the first major conflict of the series. And basically, then Eugene is, well, then everybody basically deals with the aftermath. And then eventually, Andrea dies. Well, yep. And she becomes a walker. And then Rick has no choice. He tosses the gun away, but then eventually, he doesn't kill with a gun. Basically, ends up stabbing her in the head with a knife, killing her, and then she dies. And then, of course, Rick is very sad, and then they pretty much, well, all mourn her, help him grieve, and so much do. They claim afterwards. Yeah. And of course, basically, he's angry with the fact that Sherry's dead. Like, so let me explain. Sherry's injured. It wasn't an accident. She attacked me. We can work this out. Let me handle this. Yep. So, basically, he's offered himself to be the leader of the Saviors once again. Which, of course, the group has no problem with that. Yep, apparently that's what they wanted. It's like, yeah, basically he's back with them, kind of. He does give his condolences over her death, and then they bury their dead. And, of course, basically he does something really weird, where he just takes off his shirt, takes off his mechanic arm, and then just lies on Audrey's grave. You're like so much to do, and that's it. You're like, that's a kind of an odd ending. Like, I get back he's grieving, but yeah, it's a very odd ending. I don't hate it per se, it just seems so odd. But yeah, Audrey is gone. Yep. And does that a sign that the series is about to end soon? Well, at this point, it's going to end soon. Yeah, they have, because of the fact the series published monthly, there's only about 2 years of the series left. And I think it may have been around this point in time that Robert Kirkman was actually bored with the series, so he probably made the decision maybe at this point to probably start wrapping the series up, but he took 2 years basically to do it. I give it roughly 9 out of 10. We only have a few more trades left, and then we're done with The Walking Dead. Next up we have is from Top Cow, we have Cyber Force Awakening, Volume 2. Written by Mark Silvestri and Matt Hawkins. Mark Silvestri is the creator. Brian Hill, yes, Brian Edward Hill, the guy who wrote a lot of books Marvel like Blade. I believe he's the current writer. He was the most recent writer for Black Panther, well, Ultimate Black Panther. Yeah, Matt Hawkins, also artwork by Angelo Bertito. The cover art is also by him too. So this book contains issues for Cyberforce, I believe. Let me take a look here. This is volume number. This is volume 4. Yes, volume 4. Issues number 5 through 8. Yep. So basically, they're in Colombia. Yeah, and then of course we have some killing here. Now, like I mentioned before when I discussed the first trade for the series, it doesn't have like a lot of feeling of the original volume. It's like the original couple volumes per se, yes. So it's just Cyberforce. Cyberforce was a group that existed in the Top Gun universe. It's a lot of robot stuff. Like, there's not really a lot of familiar characters. And, well, there's lots of chatting. It's like fighting in the jungle. That's kind of what this is. And then we see a guy called Ripclaw. Yeah, and those are thinking, am I insulting the fact that even though I read the book, am I overly familiar with these characters? Well, basically we have the characters in the book are Striker, Aphrodite, and Velocity. It just, to me anyways, I don't have a lot of connection to these characters per se. Walking Dead, I do have a connection because I actually read a lot of this book when it was coming out. But this book, no. Not really. Yes. It's not a terrible book per se. It just continuing with what the first book had, and of course, lots of fighting here. Lots of fighting and one person dying, and then, oh yeah, and then of course we have female team basically try to heal her by pulling her shirt up and basically stick her hand in her chest. Then we have this guy here, and then, well, apparently the only way to save her is to sabotage her. Yep, something she did not want at all. She's not happy with this. Yeah. Yeah, and then of course, Ripclaw himself is killed by this other member of the team. Though he's somehow still kicking, despite the fact he's actually got even chopped in half. Yeah, and of course they continue fighting him. And then Dominic basically contemplates suicide. It's a okay book per se. I'm gonna give the book roughly a 8 out of 10. I like the artwork, but I don't have a lot of connection to these characters, sadly. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up we have is Commodore X, and then one more comic. Yes, I have one more left. Yep, and next time it's basically Dark Horse time. Yep. See you. Bye.